Hey, what's up guys? It's Nick's Lotus with 5 obscure enchantments you should probably think about running in Commander. Up first, we got Barbed Foliage. Barbed Foliage is 2 and 2 green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature with flanking attacks you, it loses flanking. Yeah, not great. But the second half, whenever a creature without flying attacks, Barbed Foliage deals 1 damage to that creature. So this thing shuts off X1s from attacking you, which against early game token decks actually seems pretty good. It makes your blocks really good, but what my brain immediately went to was Vati. I've been trying to make this commander work for quite a while, and this card just seems super good in that deck. Even in Wolfgar, this thing seems good. Doubling the attack trigger just seems good. Doing 2 damage to everything that attacks you, like, pretty solid. Infiltrator's Mage Mark is next. This thing seems really good in an enchantment deck. It's an aura that gives a global effect. Creatures you control that are enchanted get +1/+1 and can't be blocked except by creatures with Defender. I mean, you run a go wide aura strategy, make some tokens, play some creatures, enchant them all, drop this. Even if you're in the go tall strategy, it's not the worst. I really like the idea of going wide while enchanting them all concept a lot. Muldrotha actually seems like a good commander to helm that kind of strategy because even if they take out the creatures with auras on them, you can just replay the auras with Muldrotha. Mono blue mana ramp. We got Iceberg. Iceberg is X and 2 blue for an enchantment that enters the battlefield with X ice counters on it. You can pay 3 to add another ice counter on it, or you can just straight up remove any amount of ice counters you want to add that much colorless mana to your mana pool. If you've got a commander with a big activated ability like Urza, I think there's something to be said for being able to store and use a lot of mana at one time. It's not nearly as good, but I think it's akin to a card like Glittering Stockpile, which, you know, promotes a lot of value in the decks that I use it in, except it's in blue, which something to be said for. Concerted Effort is up next. It's 2 and 2 white for an enchantment with at the beginning of each player's upkeep, creatures you control gain flying if a creature you control has flying. The same goes for First Strike, Double Strike, Fear, Landwalk, Protection, Trample, and Vigilance. This thing I'm sure sees play in the Akroma deck, but even if your commander has 2 of these abilities and is creature-based, I really think it's worth running. The only reason I can't run it in Alayla is because Death Touch and Lifelink aren't on there. This would probably be good in a Dritz deck, giving your 4/1 that it spits out Double Strike and any other tokens you're making Double Strike. Or if you're a Madman with a Zatalpa deck, you probably already know about this card, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. And lastly, we have Infernal Genesis. This is 4 and 2 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. He or she then puts X 1/1 black minion tokens into play, where X is the card's converted mana cost. So the second I saw this thing, I knew it was going into my Sidisi deck. It's just too cool. It hits all the right buttons for Sidisi. Sidisi's all about putting small amounts of cards in the graveyard and just cheating bodies into play. This does both. Sure, your opponents get some too, but like, in the decks it's good in, you're always going to make out with far more value than they do. This thing seems great in Reanimator list, especially in my Sidisi. If you guys like looking at obscure and under the radar Magic cards, I stream every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., where I go through random MTG cards and review them in hopes of reviewing all 20,000 cards one day. I know, I'm going to be the very best there ever was type shit. If you guys like this type of video or any kind of video like this, or this video specifically, like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and go play some Magic. Thanks, guys.